I thought this Model 3 Performance would be the ultimate all-in-one dream car. But 1 year later, I sold it. And the decision wasn't as easy as one might think. So in this video, I'll tell you exactly why I made the difficult decision to sell my Model 3 Performance. I'll also be detailing every problem that I had with my Model 3 Performance specifically. And I'll also be talking about whether or not this was a good decision or if I regret selling it, and ultimately what's next. But first, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is John with Blackbird Productions, and I make videos like this every month, just documenting my car ownership experience. Now, I can't say I'm documenting my Tesla ownership experience anymore because I don't have a Tesla anymore. But anyway, I have compiled a very, very detailed playlist of all of my Tesla videos, and you can view that. I think in a card above here, I think you can link playlist. If not, I'll just leave it in the description. You can check that out. And then you can start from the beginning and then come back here if you want. So you can sort of do a little binge watch. And then once you get to this video, you'll be all caught up with my Tesla ownership experience. Other than that, I make other car-centric content as well. I started making car commentary videos, and those seem to pop off pretty well. You guys seem to really love those. So I'll continue making those. And I really do generally like talking about cars. So if you love cars as much as I do, definitely consider subscribing. I highly would appreciate it. And also don't forget to leave a like on this video. It helps others who are interested in purchasing a Tesla or owning a Tesla, used or new, whatever the case is. So with that, let's get into the video. All right, first, let's talk about depreciation, which is a pretty hot button issue when it comes to EVs in general. So this isn't specific to Tesla, but Tesla has a track record of being very, very quick with the depreciation. The bottom line is I made the mistake of paying for cash with this car, which I know this is like a very, very privileged thing to say. Not everyone has cash to buy for a car, but the fact of the matter is I had some cash just saved up. You could say that. I had some cash saved up. And my thought at the time was, since I lost my job, I don't want to have a monthly payment. I want to reduce the amount of monthly payments I have on my debt. And I didn't want any debt. So I made the difficult decision to purchase a car in cash. And it was a lot of cash at the time. I think it was a total of, like, after everything was said and done, taxes, fees, it was maybe about $60,000. So I paid $60,000 for the car. And I want to say it had an MSRP of $52,000 or something at that time. And ultimately, I just didn't feel comfortable having that much cash locked up in a car like this, in an appreciating asset. If I had to redo it, it definitely would have been maybe like a 1-year lease or 2-year lease. I think that would probably have been a little bit more feasible, just because I didn't have to put up as much capital, at least at that time, for their lease deals. And ultimately, you could say I just was generally not comfortable having all my cash locked up in a rapidly depreciating asset such as a Tesla. So that's the first reason why I decided to sell this car. The second one is, you could say, more of a personal one. And I know a lot of people might disagree with this take, but it is a fact. Teslas are very, very connected with their online services. And while the technology in the Tesla Model 3 Performance is top notch, and honestly still far above anything else at this price point that I have driven or seen, I can't say I'm a fan of Tesla's connected services like the premium subscription. So it's like $10 a month, or the full self-driving subscription. I want to say, as of this video, it's $100 or $200 a month, something like that. To me, it goes against the very idea of ownership when you spend this kind of money on a car. Like I said, when everything was said and done, I paid about $60,000 for this car. When you spend your hard-earned money on a car, you should own those features outright. That is what I believe. Not have them locked behind some frivolous subscriptions. And you could argue, sure, you could use a hotspot to bypass some of the premium features that Tesla offers, but in my experience, it was just unreliable. And when I told my Tesla service rep about this specific issue, I just got sideways looks, and ultimately there was a service that I had that he just actually took the curiosity to just take a look at it, and like, he didn't find anything wrong, basically. So in my experience, it just was unreliable. My car only connected about half the time to my mobile hotspot, and I know my mobile hotspot works, and I have tried 3 different phones, including Android and Apple phones, and they both do the same thing. So it's definitely not the phone. And the fact that the hotspot doesn't automatically connect to the car tells me these headaches with using hotspots were put in the car by design. But honestly, that's just a running theory. I don't really know that for sure, but it's just an odd coincidence that, for example, the car doesn't automatically connect to a hotspot when it's near like my mobile phone, for example. I actually have to like manually click it. Like when I put the car in drive, I actually have to say like, oh, remain connected to this hotspot, but I have to do it every single time I go into drive. And it's just so annoying. And the amount of updates they do on these things on a regular basis, just like improving things and all that stuff, like the fact that they've just completely skipped hotspot is like, to me, it just screams just like, we did this by design because we want you to pay the $10 a month subscription. And it's essentially a mobile plan, which I will also talk about my concerns around that. And also with FSD, yes, you can pay that one-time fee instead of the monthly payment, but the reality is that you're paying $8,000 to be a beta tester. At that price point, the tech should feel complete and nearly error-free. And in my experience, the full self-driving isn't even the best, especially on urban roads. Like on highways, I'd say it comes in pretty clutch, but where I live in Texas, there's construction literally everywhere. Everywhere you go, there is construction, and the highways change a lot around here. Like they're always constantly building new bridges, things like that. And some of the lanes, like for example, if you're familiar with Texas, you know about 75 and 30, those notorious highways, some of the most dangerous highways in Texas. Those lanes are narrow, for example, and the system just couldn't keep up with how narrow the lanes were just based on the speed that I set it at, which was usually around anywhere between 75 and 80 miles an hour. So yeah, it just isn't perfect, and it's not perfect enough to justify the $8,000 price tag. The next decision that made me sell my Tesla was around the privacy concerns I have, which to a lot of people who buy a car like this, I feel like they think this thing is frivolous, especially with a car that's as connected and convenient as this one. But honestly, I have a lot to say around privacy, and honestly, it might even be too much to even say in just this video alone. So that's why I actually made a dedicated video just in my Tesla ownership experience playlist that you can view. You can view that in a card above here if you're interested. I've also included a link below to Mozilla Foundation's findings with Tesla cars specifically, being one of the worst automakers, well, one of the worst rated automakers for privacy. As someone with a background in cybersecurity and a family history of dealing with identity fraud, privacy is a huge concern for me when it comes to the Model 3 performance. This is an extremely connected car. So connected, in fact, that it basically has its own cellular plan just to access Tesla's premium services. Every account you sign into is essentially being tied into that network as well. But the truth is, I don't trust any company with my personal data. I also don't trust any companies with my login credentials as well, which is why I used randomized passwords for all the services that I use. But honestly, with Tesla, my concerns go well beyond privacy and the car's user features. If you want to dive deeper, again, I've included a link below that highlights Mozilla Foundation's findings on Tesla's overall privacy practices, which are honestly, let's just say, very eye-opening. On top of all this, the addition of Grok AI was kind of the final straw for me. Grok has basically become a meme at this point since it's notorious for just spitting out misinformation. And compared to something like ChatGPT, it's just not on the same level. But honestly, large language models and cars in general feel completely pointless right now. If an automaker is bragging about AI in their car, 9 times out of 10, it's either pure vaporware that you only use one time to impress a friend or something, or the AI is just so undercooked that it's not even worth highlighting in the first place as a feature. So the truth is, and honestly, this will be the last thing I'll say regarding the point about privacy, it's that many companies are leaning on AI as sort of just like a buzzword, just to prop up their product margins, and also just to stay relevant in this current bubble we're in, instead of actually making innovative technologies or products. And this comes from someone who's been in IT for about 7, I think I'm going on about 8 years now. So I've been with, I'd say maybe about, I think actually 7 companies, 7, or let's see. I think I've been with about 6 companies that have said that they have AI in their product. Some of which is just, you know, a chat GPT wrapper, like you open the hood and it's just chat GPT. Some create their own bespoke AIs, and they are actual true AI development. And you could say when you're in IT for as long as I have been, which I mean, I'm not like a veteran by any means, but I have seen the AI bubble, you know, get bigger and bigger over the years as I've been in IT. And I can definitively say that some companies just don't really have real AI. A lot of it is just marketing fluff. And it's honestly kind of sad that a lot of automakers are leaning towards this whole AI hype thing, just because a lot of it just isn't really useful. Like, who needs an AI assistant in a car? I know BMW is doing something like that. Like, the last thing I want is having an AI assistant control the car for me. Yes, it's convenient, but a car is meant to be driven. And it just basically defeats the whole purpose of having a car. Like, you might as well just, like, you know, not buy a car and just spend that money towards like an Uber every day to work or something if you really wanted that. So to me, it's just a little bit counterintuitive, and it's just not something, it's definitely not a future that I want to be part of. So overall, the Model 3 is an incredibly capable piece of technology. And in many ways, I see it more as a utility than a traditional car, which is exactly what makes it so appealing to so many people. But for me, what holds it back is the lack of privacy combined with an experience that feels too connected. Because honestly, do I regret selling it? I'll say yes and no, just because I do commute to work just like a lot of, I mean, I'd say maybe at this point, 99% of Americans, just because remote work for the most part is dead. It's still accepted in some broader pockets within the IT space. But for the most part, a lot of companies, especially a lot of big companies, they're basically getting their workers to come back on site to work. Why? Don't know. Maybe it has something to do with real estate investment, but that's like a whole nother topic for a whole nother set of videos. But yeah, I have to commute to work. And one of the things that I do miss is having that autopilot, because I will say, despite everything I had to say about self-driving, autopilot did actually come in clutch. Just because I go through bumper to bumper traffic every other morning to go to work. And I also go from bumper to bumper traffic home every other day to work. So that is actually one of the things I do miss about owning the Tesla. But like I said, it's a utility, it's a tool to get from point A to point B, just like any car is. But the Tesla just made it so much easier to deal with that. Not to mention the accessories market with Teslas are very, very plentiful. So like, for example, I'd flip on a podcast or like a video and I'd have my phone, because you know you can't like actually watch YouTube on the bigger screen when you're going from point A to point B. You actually have to be parked in order to actually use that. So what I'd do is I'd like have a video on my phone and I'd have it mounted on a magnetic phone holder towards the back of the screen. And I would watch my video while the car is in autopilot. And it was just so cool to do that. But yeah, those are some of the things that I miss about the Tesla. And don't get me wrong, although I've said all these things in the video, I really think it's a very, very brilliant car. And I really think the design of it is also very cool. The interior is very cool. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a minimalist, but I do like a minimal interior. And to me, less clutter just makes me feel good. Honestly, it really does. So it has a lot of good things going for it, but ultimately I just had to part ways with it. So if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. I know this video is probably going to be a little bit decisive because not everyone agrees, and I'm sure there's going to be some out there that don't resonate with the opinions that I've shared on this video, but my decisions are my own, and these are ultimately decisions that brought me to selling my Model 3 Performance. But ultimately, if you thought this video was helpful, definitely feel free to leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. I make videos like this every month. Not documenting my Tesla Model 3 Performance anymore, but that actually leads me to my next point. I actually did buy a brand new car. I'm going to reveal it. Consider this as something special for those who decide to stick towards the end of the video. But the car I bought was a 2025 Integra Type S from Acura. I bought it certified pre-owned with 2,400 miles on it. Right now it has about 6,000. So I put a lot of miles on it within the time I've had the car. And I bought it back in July. So I've had it for a little while now. But I had a number of videos that I wanted to make ahead of time before I actually made this big review. So expect a car review to come out for that specific car next month. So you get to see it in action. You get to hear my opinions about it, which I have a lot of opinions about this car. But ultimately, it's a fun car. It is a manual, 6-speed manual transmission. And it's basically just me going back to the basics, just being someone that actually owned an Integra as their first car out of high school. So there's some history there. And you get to learn all about it in my next car review. So definitely stick around for that. So this has been John with Blackbird Productions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.